Good day everyone or magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ngayong araw, we will dwell into an essential aspect of Philippine history, which is taxation. A system that has shaped our society, economy, and governance. From pre-colonial times when tribute was offered to local leaders, through the colonial era marked by heavy and oppressive taxes under the Spanish rule and American rule, up to the present structure of equitable taxation laws. This journey reflects the evolution of power, inequality, and reform. Understanding this history helps us grasp how taxation influenced the Filipino people, struggles, and contribution to the nation building. There are three eras of taxation, which are the pre-Hispanic era, colonial era, and post-war era. So let us begin with the pre-Hispanic era. In this era, taxation was a community-based, with tributes collected by local leaders. During the time before the Spaniards came, the country had various kingdoms called barangays, which was ruled by a dato or raja in some areas, who offered protection to all its subordinates. Also, tribute or buwis. While there was no formal taxation before, many pre-Hispanic communities practiced a form of tribute or buwis, where individuals or communities contributed goods, services, or labor to their leader or ruling class. There are three classes in pre-Hispanic era, which are the Tumao class, Timawa class, and the Oripon class. So let us talk first with the Tumao class. So a Tumao class includes dato where the nobility of pure royal descent. The second one is the Timawa class. The Timawa class is a warrior class or the third rank of nobility and a freeman, neither chief or nor slaves. They are required to render military service. They are the only one class to pay taxes and hence their importance in the community. The third one is the Oripon class. The Oripon class are called commoners or slaves, render their services to the Tumao and Timawa class. The Alipin did not likely make any money for their services and hence they did not pay taxes. So let's move forward to the colonial era. There are three eras of the colonial, which are the Spanish era, American era, and Japanese era. And taxation during the colonial period was a very important tool as it helps the colonizers sustain their power in administrative control, fund public projects, and maintain the economic system of the colony. So let us begin first with the Spanish era. During the 70th and 18th centuries, the Contador de Resultas served as the chief royal accountant whose functions were similar to the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Let us move forward to the 5 terms in the Spanish era. Let us begin first with a tributo, annual tribute paid by indigenous people, then later on, the Spanish replaced tributo with cedula. The second one is a gismus prediales, is a 1/10 of the produce of the encomienda to be paid to the viceregal government, and the sanctum was the tax paid to the local churches. Sanctum before was paid in 3 reales. The fourth word is a venta. Venta is tax paid by people in the provinces along the coast of western Luzon. The last one is the donativo de Zamboanga. The donativo de Zamboanga was tax specifically used for the conquest of Jolo. So let us proceed to the American era. In the early American regime, from the period of 1898 to 1901, a second civil governor named Luke A. Wright that the Bureau of Internal Revenue or the BIR was created through the passage of Reorganization Act number 1189, dated July 2, 1904. Also, a miscellaneous tax division is a unit typically within a country's Bureau of Internal Revenue or a similar tax agency. They are responsible for the administration. So the last colonial era is the Japanese era. At the outbreak of World War II, under the Japanese regime in 1942 to 1945, the Bureau was combined with the Customs of Office and was headed by a Director of Customs and Internal Revenue. They also increased tax rates to meet the revenue needs of the Japanese government. So let's continue on the last era, which is the post-war era. On July 4, 1946, when the Philippines gained its independence from the United States, the Bureau was eventually re-established separately. First is the Marcos Sr. regime. President Marcos Sr., the most notable programs implemented were the Blue Master Program and the Voluntary Tax Compliance Program. The first program was adopted to curb the abuses of both the taxpayer and BIR personnel, while the second program was designed to encourage professionals in the private and government sectors to report their true income and to pay the correct amount of taxes. So let's continue to the presidency of President Curry Aquino's time. After the People's Revolution in February 1986, a renewed thrust towards an effective tax administration was pursued by the Bureau. Curry Aquino make an operation which is Operation Walang Lagay, was launched to promote the efficient and honest collection of taxes. Let's go on to the presidency of President Fidel Ramos' time. A comprehensive and integrated program known as the ACTS or Action-Centered Transformation Program was undertaken to realign and direct the entire organization. So the next presidency is President Joseph Estrada. Joseph Estrada implemented the Economic Recovery Assistance Program or what we called ARAP, which granted immunity from the audit and investigation to taxpayers who have paid 20% more than the tax paid in 1997 for the income tax or VAT. The next presidency is President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo undertook increased government spending without adjusting the tax collections. The next presidency is President Benigno Aquino III. During his time, he excised the tax on liquor and cigarettes or the sin tax reform. The last presidency is President Rodrigo Coa Duterte. In his time, he signed the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law to exempt those taxpayers whose annual income is less than or equal to 250 pesos to pay their taxes. And he also increased the excise tax on petroleum products and automobiles. In conclusion, the history of taxation in the Philippines remind us to need for fair and just taxation in fostering a progressive society. I hope you have learned about the taxation history of the Philippines today. Thank you, that would be all.